Did Sony just make the new lens that will be a portrait photographer's dream? Here is the new Sony G Master 50 to 150mm f2.0, and let me tell you about this great lens. My name is Chris Bassel. I am a professional journalist working in a photo technology industry for over 15 years, mostly reviewing cameras and lenses. And this is my private YouTube channel, so I kindly ask you to give me thumbs up, to subscribe to this channel and leave the comment below and let me tell you what do you think about this new video and the new lens, the hero of this material. This is Sony 50 to 150mm f2.0. A beautiful G Master lens that might be the ultimate lens for portrait photographers. I think it's something more. This is the lens made mostly not only for portrait photographers, but to photographers who like to shoot people in many different occasions. From portraits to sport photography, for example basketball or maybe even volleyball, when there's not much light, and this lens can give you a great quality. But also this might be the ultimate lens for concert photographers, event photographers, when there's not much light and you need to capture high quality pictures in 15 minutes, maybe the first song, and you don't have time to switch lenses, but you have one high quality lens that will give you a wide aperture 2.0 and the best possible quality. This would be my choice. So this lens, Sony 50 to 150mm, is a G Master, so it is very well built. It has this big badge here showing us what kind of lens it is, just a little bit like an old style telephoto lenses. But what is the most important is very well made, super high quality. It's of course waterproof, dustproof, and its total length is 200mm, so exactly the same as 70 to 200 f.2 version 2. However, the front filter diameter is 95mm, so a little bit more. It's also heavier, 1340 grams versus 1100 something grams. However, I don't really feel that. I feel like this lens is really well fitted into my hand. I spent some time working with it, photographing one band in a jazz club in the city I live in, and I didn't really feel any burden. It was such a comfortable lens to work with, and I'm surprised with that because it's not as heavy as I thought. The construction of this lens is pretty similar to all of the lenses from this series of Sony. So we have here the manual focus ring, then we have the ring for changing focal length. This change from 50 to 100 is very fast and smooth. Third ring, this is the aperture ring. It's working with some steps, but you can also switch it off to have this click off mode. Also you have the switches AF, MF, full-time DMF on-off, and 3 rounded buttons, universal buttons to work in a vertical and horizontal mode. And that's it. It doesn't have any additional functions, it doesn't have any stabilization inside, but it has this part here that can also be added very easily. So you can work when it's a lot of light, direct light into your lens. It protects it to not have any flares. This element, also this hood, also have this little window here in the front, so we can change, for example, the variable ND or polarizer filter. Very nice solution. And of course, it's very well fitted, and you can easily turn it off, take it off, and just leave it. Also, one important thing for those who like to travel, this foot here is easily detachable. You can just hide it in your bag and put this whole set, camera plus lens, into your bag. Inside we'll find 19 elements, glass elements in 17 groups. When we are talking about this kind of lens, two most important elements would be probably lots of details when we want to shoot portraits and bokeh. And in both of the elements, this lens is superb, especially when we talk about details. When we start with aperture wide open, f2 in the center is very sharp. Even in the corners, it's really looking very sharp. It's quite similar to what 50mm f1.4 or 85mm G Master, the quality they have to offer. So it's a really top quality lens. If you close the aperture to 2.8, it's even better, but this change is not really very big. F.4, 5.6 is really superb in the center and in the corners, but I can easily shoot portraits with F.2 and it's very sharp. What is in the corners, when it comes to portraits, is not so important. And it applies to both 50 and 150mm. I think 150 is even a little bit better, a little bit sharper at f.2, but basically this lens is super sharp. It's also a great bokeh lens, however, there are some issues, so let me tell you. So basically what I like about this lens is the very smooth background. This has 11 blades aperture and some additional glass parts inside that helps to make this blur, this background very smooth. And it is very smooth, especially when you look at the pictures with in the club, in the barman and some drinks. There are lots of bottles in the background that were a little bit highlighted, and this blur is so smooth. It's not something that makes me feel disturbed, but rather very comfortable, very delicate but intense. However, we can also notice here that the bokeh elements, these rings, are very nice in the middle. It doesn't have these onion rings inside, but when you go into the corners, into the left or right, it changes the shape a lot. It's more like a cat eye style, and it's quite visible. This can be not an issue for some, but for some others who are so bokeh lovers, they love this bokeh shape. It's something you should look on when considering buying this lens. Besides that, this is a really good lens. And when it comes to quality, vignetting is very good controlled. F.2, of course, it exists, but 2.84 it disappears. Aberration, chromatic aberration, when you really force it to happen, it happens. You can notice it. For example, at the pictures when I made it in a direct sunlight, and some really small objects like kind of trees, it's visible that there is some different colors. But when you compare it with cheap lenses, f1.8, for example, 85mm, it's crushing them. It's completely different. It's a very good quality and I cannot really complain about it. Same with flares, it's well controlled. If you use this hood, there is some flares when you shoot in a direct sunlight, but they are not ruining your picture. They are just adding some kind of natural feeling, organic feeling. They are very nice and smooth, both at 50 or 150mm, starting from f2. You don't have to worry about it. The distortion is also well controlled. Even if you turn off the correction in the camera, it doesn't look bad. It is visible, it's not ideal, but if you turn the correction on, it's basically ideal. In both 50 and 150mm, it looks very good. And when you talk about more subjective feeling about the colors, contrast, the general look of this lens come together with rented Sony A7R5, it has this kind of Sony look. I mean, it's with this great quality lens, it's technically almost ideal, and some people like it. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of style of pictures. I prefer when the pictures are a little bit more, maybe not perfect. But if you expect it to be perfect, this lens will give you the look you desire. In general, this quality, this contrast, details, blur is just fantastic. There are 4 linear XD motors that helps this lens and camera to operate autofocus very smoothly, very fast. It works together with the newest Sony bodies with 4K 150p in videos, no problem with that. Also, when we want to make pictures with Sony A9 Mark III, 120 frames per second, it also supports this type of photography. It works very well. The autofocus is smooth, it recognizes face and eyes and tracks, the best quality on the market. It's also very quiet. I didn't hear anything recording or making pictures. So, well, it is the best what autofocus in this kind of lens can Sony offer to you. I think this lens is also very good offer to those who want to use it for filming or hybrid work. It's of course supporting the focus breathing compensation in the new cameras of Sony. It's also corrected optically quite well. This focus breathing, yeah, just a little bit maybe is visible, especially at 150mm, but basically it works very well, it's well controlled. At the beginning I was really thinking, is this lens needed? Who will use that lens? But after using it, after seeing the general feeling of this lens, how well it fits my hand, and how great quality it offers, I fell in love with that lens, even though I'm not a Sony shooter. And I would definitely like it to use during the weddings if I need a lens that will be very universal and super quality and bright. For example, in the situations where we have not much time for some portrait shoots, or we go to some trip for a distant wedding or some event, and we just want to have one lens for different kinds of portrait kind of scenarios. This will be a great solution. I think it's also a fantastic solution for concert photographers who in most cases has maybe 5 minutes or 15 minutes at the beginning of a good concert, and they need to make a lot of pictures, high quality pictures, and this lens is like just one lens they need, I think, and they don't have to change many lenses, but use just one lens and have this brightness of 2 f.2. This is a fantastic thing and opens you to the world that concert photographers few years ago didn't have. Some of them can complain that it's too short, only 150, but in my opinion it's not an issue, because if you have a modern Sony camera body like this one, 60 megapixels or 42 megapixels or even 33 megapixels at Sony A7 Mark IV, you can easily crop the pictures. If you use it to the internet, it's not a problem. You can turn on the APS-C mode and then you have 75 to 225, something like that, which is very similar to 70 to 200 millimeters that many concert or event photographers use. But here you have f2, not 2.8, which not only gives you this little special kind of blur in your pictures, but also helps you to go down with ISO. For example, if you use ISO 6400, but with this lens you can use ISO 3200. So again, this is a really good thing to have. Unfortunately, I was testing this lens way before its release date, so Sony didn't tell me about its price. I don't know why they do like that again. Maybe they are afraid of the high price, I don't know. You can check the price here on the screen and see, is that high price? I suppose yes. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the price? What do you think about the lens itself? In my opinion, it's a really good lens for very specific type of photographers or videographers. If you like to shoot people in many different various scenarios, this lens is definitely for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give me thumbs up. Please subscribe my new channel so that I can grow and make more videos, independent videos like this. Thank you so much and see you in the next videos at my channel. Bye.